till you want to slow down. Route 20.
We're on the air, coming to you live from our little adobe home in the heart of New Mexico. It is the Desert Home Companion, where we've got sunshine all day, moonshine all night, and it ain't gonna rain no more, no more.
The old man stood out in the storm, his shoes were full of feet. Well, it ain't gonna rain no more, Lord, it ain't gonna rain no more. Now the world in the old folks tell, it ain't gonna rain no more. Oh, mosquito, he fly high, mosquito, he fly low. If that old mosquito ever lights on me, he ain't gonna fly no more. Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, Lord, it ain't gonna rain no more. Old folk tell it ain't gonna rain no more. Yes, fly away, bud. The butterfly flits on the wings of gold, the June bug wings of flame. The bed bug has no wings at all, but it gets there just the same. Well, it ain't gonna rain no more, Lord, it ain't gonna rain no more. Now the world, the old folk tell it ain't gonna rain no more. No more showers. A man laid down by the shore, and by the shore he died. Yeah. Now at the coroner's inquest, they called it suicide. Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, Lord, it ain't gonna rain no more. Now the world, the old folk tell it ain't gonna rain no more. The thunder roared, it was an awful storm. Yeah. The old cow throwed her tail in the air and she ran right through the barn. Well, it ain't gonna rain no more, Lord, it ain't gonna rain no more. Now the world in the old folk tell it ain't gonna rain no more.
Welcome to the Desert Home Companion. Oh, I'm frozen up here. Uh-oh. What happened? Okay, it froze up there for a second. Hope I'm okay there now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Tonight's show is brought to you by the makers of Wonder Bread. Now with reduced sugar and just a tiny amount of stevia, just the smallest amount. Just if you're worried about it, just the tiniest amount of stevia. So try some of our new little stevia Wonder Bread. All right, so welcome to everybody. Ooh, yes. Most of you, I think, are old timers here. Good to see you. And hello to Mark and Joe Ellen, wherever you might happen to be. We will, at the end of the show, we stick around and have a chance to introduce ourselves. So it would be great to hear about you and where you're from. So tonight's show is an interesting one. Last month was would have been my dad's 108th birthday. And I am going to be playing the first half of the show tonight is a video of a story, a skit, sort of in the vein of Desert Home Companion, that we did for his 80th birthday party in Scottsdale. And you'll see some familiar faces that you're seeing right here on the screen, as well as some very, very young faces. So I hope you'll enjoy this show. I included most of it for those of you that knew him, knew the family. There's some neat bits in here that you'll enjoy. The story is Richard Cutt's Private Psychologist. It's a mystery story, so I'm going to wear the mystery hat while it's playing. And this is the mystery hat. And I'll get a chance to sit here and watch it with you for a change. So without further ado, we're going to go right to the Richard Cutt's Private Psychologist. And it's a rather long clip, about a half an hour. We'll have a brief musical interlude after that, and then a new story that I wrote recently called Invaders. One of my friends said he thought it was the best story I've written. I don't agree with him, but it's a pretty good story. So that will be the show for the evening. And let's go now to the adventures of Richard Cutts, private psychologist.
Does that look funny?
Yeah.
I want to see.
Just a minute. Stand back there, farther. All right, and now come walking toward me. All right.
Yeah, I want to see you.
All right, Jay. Speak to us.
Mom?
Yes.
Whenever you're done hostessing.
Where'd I put my camera?
Yes.
Mine over there.
Spray. Yes, yes.
You do the same thing I do.
We're gonna have a little skit over there.
Oh, really?
I don't want to sit down now. What's the fun do?
Well, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. That's okay.
Go sit there and say. Rich, did you find one for Milt?
He's sitting there.
Oh, that's you. Okay.
Okay.
She doesn't pay any attention to what's his name.
All my broken down friends, I'm trying to make sure that they're okay.
No, I'm just curious. We feel so fortunate that you come from near and far to be with us on Dad's 80th birthday. And as Mom mentioned earlier, it's also special because this is the first time that Ron, Mark, and Jay and I have been
And I'm
together.
sitting right here.
Okay.
Louder, slower.
In a few moments, we're going to twist your arm into some entertainment that will give you a true picture of my father's career, written by the William Shakespeare of after-dinner theater comedy, my illustrious sibling. But right now, I'd just like to mention a few thoughts about Dad on his 80th birthday. And if it's a little long-winded or sentimental, please forgive me. I just wanted to say it while he can hear at least 50% of what I'm saying.
Make it 55.
You're doing well so far.
Sold.
People thought of Dad's dad, and it's interesting hearing people talk about Grandpa tonight, as the patriarch of the family, and he was, except for to my Aunt Ida, who was the only person who could boss him around. In many ways, Grandpa was a man of his time. What I mean is he was disciplined, he was logical, he knew what he liked and what he didn't like, and we all respected those qualities in others in Grandpa. It's interesting to think about how while Dad has many of those same qualities, he never had the need to prove it. Instead, as a parent, he values and demonstrates patience, consistency. He believes in us for who we are, not what he wanted us to be. He cares about people more than material things, although we were never lacking in that regard. And as Myra always says, she's never known anyone who has such a good sense of humor about himself as Dad, and that there's not an arrogant bone in his body, and that's certainly true. And Dad's priorities have always been right. If he was ever worried about work or illness or other things, we never knew it, because Dad was always more focused on us and our needs. And of course, Dad's a wonderful role model as a husband and an exceptional grandfather. As a young man...
Yes, exceptional
As a young man, I knew that Dad had these qualities, but as a middle-aged man, I understand their significance. I aspire to be like you, Dad, with my own special twists, of course. And if I can even come close, I'll feel like I'm a success in life, as you clearly are. So happy birthday, Dad, on your 80th, and now for a little entertainment. And for some reason, I have 2 lines under little entertainment.
How about equal time for Jay?
Well, this
This is Jay's
This is
testimonial.
Jay's.
I tried to write just a few words of tribute to Dad and got completely carried away. So this will be a little bit longer than Jerry's presentation. But this is a little something about a secret part of Dad's life that few people really knew. In his younger years, he was, well, you'll see as we get started.
Yeah.
A couple words of explanation here. And I'll give you a cue and you can start, or you can start now. Go ahead. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. You, Mark. You, cousin.
What's that?
Go. You're on.
I missed something.
That doesn't matter. Turn the camera on.
Oh, it's been on.
Where's the red light?
I just never red light. A couple words of explanation, just some terminology here for people who may not be familiar with it. One of the things that we talk about here is, well, this has to do a lot with pickles, and the kosher pickles have their own sort of unique taste, and sometimes you have a pickle that's, it's not a kosher pickle, and you can't quite tell why, but it's just not a kosher pickle. And the Jewish term we have for that is, we refer to that as a goyish pickle. It's a pickle that has to do with the non-Jewish people. So there's a reference to that in here. Okay, I think without further ado, make yourselves comfortable. If you can't hear, move a little bit closer.
Turn up your hearing aid.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the thrilling adventures of Richard Cutts, private psychologist. Brought to you tonight by the Goyish Pickle Company. Goyish Pickles, the pickles that just don't taste right. And by the American Society for the Promotion of Phobias. You're never too young to be afraid of something. So lock the door, knock on wood, take out a pickle, and enjoy the case of the dyspeptic dyslexic. I'm Richard Cutts. You can call me Mr. Cutts. I'm a private psychologist. Have Rorschach will travel. I'm the toughest in the business. Learned my trade in the Hell's Kitchen of psychology, the back alleys, pool halls, and cheap saloons of Minnesota, a state where the term emotional disturbance is considered to be redundant. I'd seen the worst that the field of child psychology could throw at me. Serial killers, psychotics, stamp collectors, without letting it get to me. That is, until the case of the dyspeptic dyslexic. It all started innocently enough one day in my office.
So, you think you can mess around with my wife and get away with it, you two-bit phony? I don't care if you're the secret mob godfather. Eat frog food and croak, you bum. Bang, bang, bang.
I turned off the radio and tried to get back to work. If only I had any. It had been weeks since I'd seen a paycheck, and even longer since I'd seen one made out to me. I was so far behind in the office rent that even the rats were starting to leave me eviction notices. Things were getting strained at home, too. We were reduced to collecting earwax all week to make a Shabbos candle.
That's scratching it.
Clarice had managed to stretch one bagel out into 27 gourmet meals. But frankly, if it wasn't for the free case of Goyish pickles in the basement, we wouldn't have made it this far. Come in.
Sir, I hope I'm not bothering you then. I could come back. I have some things to do anyway. Not that I wouldn't stay if you wanted. A lot of guys would wonder if I had a message for them, though.
Doris, I pay you to interrupt me. That's your job. You're my secretary. Doris was from Minnesota. She didn't exactly speak English. I kept her around because psychologically she was a challenge. I like a challenge. I decided to take a wild gamble. Doris, have you got something to tell me?
Well, yeah. Well, pretty much then.
I could tell she was still holding back. Fear of reprisal, unresolved guilt, bad gums. I had to make it safe for her. Could you tell me what it is?
You betcha.
Doris, tell me the message or I'll really give your gums something to hurt about.
Sorry. There's a client here to see you.
A client? Thank God. Rats, did you hear that? Show them in. I wasn't prepared for the long-stemmed American beauty that walked in.
Hello, I'm Rose. What is she doing there? Rose Floribunda.
Rose Floribunda, a social climber, eh? Hybrid tea?
Maybe just a glass of water. Room temperature, no ice. And a Goya pickle?
Done. Now, what can I do for you, Miss Floribunda?
Call me Rose. It's my son, Dr. Cutts.
That's odd. He has the same name as my father.
Who?
Dr. Cutts. Dr. Cutts, aren't you following in your script?
I'm sorry. I'm so confused. Why, for a minute, I thought I was Dr. Cutts.
Mild delusion of grandeur with tendencies toward generalized personality disorganization. Have a Goya pickle, Rose. It works for me. Now, what's the problem?
It's my son, Schmendrick.
Don't get personal, Rose. Call me Mr. Cutts.
That's my son's name, Schmendrick.
Schmendrick Floribunda? I've never dealt with anything like this. Think of the abuse, the ridicule he must suffer. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do.
Wait! I haven't told you the problem yet. He can't read.
Schmendrick!
Yes, of course.
How long has this been going on?
Since he was born.
I see. Have you had his ears checked?
They're normal.
Much wax?
No, why?
Just curious. Something was terribly wrong. A lot of kids can't read. You don't go weeping to a private shrink about it. There was more to this than met the eye, and I determined right then and there that I would spare no effort, no expense, no personal sacrifice, even of my own life, to find out what it was, even if I had to drag it out of Rose inch by excruciating inch.
By the way, if anyone so much as shows him a printed word, he lets out a horrifying scream, demolishes everything in his reach, beats the person to a bloody pulp, and belches.
Thanks a lot, Rose. Now what am I supposed to do for the rest of the program?
Cure him.
You're on. Hello, I'm Marlin Perkins for Wild Kingdom. Just as the mother bear brings home fish for her cubs, you should bring home Goya pickles for your children. Harvested from clear mountain streams in the Yukon, these pickles contain all the essential elements to build strong teeth, sharp claws, and thick black fur. Goya pickles, the pickles that just don't taste right. And now, just as the wild salmon returns to spawn, we return to the thrilling adventures of Richard Cutts, private psychologist, although personally I have to make a stop in the woods just as the wild bear. 2 days later, Rose delivered her son into the waiting hands of Doris, whose job it was to make the new client feel at home, while taking care of preliminary paperwork and, of course, the mandatory security check.
So, hello then, didn't it? I'm Doris.
It's Schmendrick.
Of course. Just step over here, dear.
Deer is for wolves to rip apart with their fangs.
You betcha, though. Now, if you don't mind too much, I'm going to search you for weapons. It's not so bad, really. A lot of people think of it as a sort of a massage without all the emotional stuff. Anyhow, it's just as hard for me as it is for you. So we're both pretty much in the same boat, I'd say. I don't know.
I could tell from the loud thudding sounds that Schmendrick was putting up a good fight, but he was no match for Doris. She holds a black belt in hog wrestling. A moment later, they emerged in my office.
Make her give me back my pipe bomb.
In good time, Schmendrick, in good time. So, young Schmendrick had a hobby, and I had a bargaining chip. Sit down, Schmendrick. I'm Mr. Cutts. I'm here to help you. Is there anything you want to tell me?
You can't make me talk, bozo.
Mr. Bozo.
You can't make me read. If you try, you'll see what happens. I don't want to be here, and you can't make me do anything.
I could empathize with his anxiety. Year after year of failure and frustration with no one to turn to. If I was going to win his trust, I had to move very carefully. Schmendrick, I want you to know that your feelings are perfectly normal. Now, if you ever want to see your pipe bomb again, I suggest you do everything I tell you. For starters, let's see you cluck like a chicken until I say stop.
Why, you...
I let him go on for about 45 minutes, just long enough to take the edge off his nasty so-called personality and to ensure that we had established a mutual trust.
You'll be sorry for this, you slimy scumbag.
Mr. Scumbag Schmendrick. Now, I'd like to give you a few psychological tests. First, take a look at this ink blot and tell me what it makes you think.
Makes me think you need a new pen.
What does the blot look like to you?
Well, there's a heck of a resemblance to a Rorschach test.
Does it look like a picture of anything?
A squash bug.
Okay, that's better. Now, what about this ink blot?
A squash bug.
That's what you said for the last one. What's the difference?
It's a different bug.
Very good, Schmendrick. You're doing very well. You're doing exceptionally well. In fact, you're doing better than most mammals and nearly all vertebrates. You're doing so well you make me weep, Schmendrick. Let's try the next item. How many fingers do you have on one hand?
One. See it?
I don't think so. If there are 10 oranges in the cafeteria and you take away 3, what do you have?
Detention for a week.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
Boo-hoo.
You're breaking my heart, Schmendrick. We were getting nowhere faster than a slug on phenobarbital. I needed some time to think, but how was I going to get it?
Hello, folks. Freddy Katz here, the American Society for the Preservation of Phobias. That's phobias. Ever notice how exhilarated you feel after a good scare? Doctors know that fear has the same health-giving effect on the body as a good workout, only it's a heck of a lot less effort. Increase your heart rate, break out in a sweat, tense those little used muscles. Now, for a limited time, you can enroll in the Society's Scare of the Month Club. Every month at an unpredictable time, you'll come across a different time-tested scare. Could come in the mail, could come in your shoe, could be in your shoe, could happen in the elevator at work, or you might just wake up with it on your chest one morning. Remember, folks, don't be afraid to be afraid. Fear is good. Fear is healthy. Fear Gesundheit. Good word. Now we return to the thrilling adventures of Richard Kuntz, private psychologist. So don't touch that dial, especially with wet hands.
Fortunately, the commercial gave me the thinking time I needed. Unfortunately, I couldn't come up with much. I was stuck. Rose had warned me that if I tried to show Schmendrick any words to read, he would rip me and my office apart, not to mention the belch at the end. I could try desensitization. Lock Schmendrick in the padded cell and toss in a book at increasingly frequent intervals. Trouble was, the landlord had locked up the padded cell for past due rent. This had been a big blow to Doris, who used to spend her lunch breaks in there. She called it the Minnesota roller coaster. My only hope was to shoot straight from the hip. Cognitive therapy. Schmendrick, can we talk about reading?
Try and make me.
Sounds like reading is a touchy subject for you, is that right?
Buzz off, Weisenheimer.
Pretty angry about it, eh?
Eat bud and gag, camel face.
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you.
For what?
For what?
Echolalia, eh?
Echolalia.
Echolalia, echolalia.
Echolalia.
Peter Parker, pickle pear, pickle peppers.
Over being women.
ABCD goldfish, elemental goldfish, OSMR.
As I was going to say now, I met a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 sacks, each sack had 7 cats, each cat had 7 kids. Kids, cats, sacks, wives, how many were going to say knives?
Okay, 7 wives times 7 sacks. That's 49 sacks times 7 cats. Let's see, that ends in a 6. Hey, wait a minute, you little punk. I'm running this therapy session.
Sounds like this is a touchy subject for you, sir.
Who are you? Cognitive therapy did not appear to be an appropriate modality in this case. I had to admit that I was at my wit's end and I was running dangerously low on script at the same time. There were only 2 people in the world that could help me out of this jam, and I could only think of one of them. I sent the kid home for the day and made a desperate phone call. Hello, this is Rabbi of Ice. Rabbi, am I glad to talk to you? This is Richard Kuntz. Richard Kuntz. You, Richard? I thought by now maybe you were an Episcopalian. Well, Rabbi, I know I've been a little busy over here at the office recently. The past 20 years. It's all right. Judaism is a very forgiving religion. You can break this commandment and that commandment, and it doesn't matter. As long as you uphold the one essential mitzvah, you're always a Jew. That's right, Rabbi. What do you mean that's right, Rabbi? I haven't told you what it is yet. Break the Sabbath? I don't care. Marry a goy? I don't care. Have a pork milkshake? L'chaim. The essential thing is eat a kosher pickle. A kosher pickle. Rabbi, there are commercial considerations. Considerations. But wait, you didn't call the dog pickles. No, Rabbi, I have a problem. I have to teach this Schmendrick to read. Aha, there's your problem, no respect. Always talk with respect. You talk with respect, you think with respect. You think with respect, you act with respect. Say, I have to teach this fine young man to read. His name is Schmendrick. What kind of schlemiel is named Schmendrick? Rabbi, I've tried everything with this boy, but he just gets angry. Don't force. Explain. Think of my sermons. I explain, I illustrate, I give examples, I ask questions, I give quotations. I repeat, I explain again. That's it, Rabbi, that's it, you've got it. The explanations, the illustrations, the examples, going on and on, repeating, droning, falling into a deep sleep. I'll hypnotize him. Thank you, Rabbi, good Shabbos. What Shabbos? It's Tuesday. Episcopalian Shabbos. The next day I had Schmendrick sit in the easy chair, wedged in the back corner of my office between the wall of bookshelves and the cases of Goyish pickles. Schmendrick, I want you to follow my watch as it goes back and forth, back and forth. Focus only on the watch. You're getting sleepy, very sleepy.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm not that sleepy.
Don't look at the time. Look at the watch. Wait, I'll turn it around. Okay, follow my watch as it goes back and forth, back and forth, deeper and deeper. You're getting very sleepy. You're falling into a deep sleep. Still sleep, sleep, sleep. As I watched Schmendrick sitting there quietly in the chair, somehow all of my earlier fears seemed to melt away. I felt a quiet confidence, deeply relaxed.
You will raise your right arm over your head and stand on your left foot. Now place your left index finger in your right nostril. Go! You will now give me all the money in your wallet. When I say go, you will cluck like a chicken for 45 minutes. Then you will wake up and will forget everything that's happened. Go!
I watched Schmendrick sitting there quietly in the chair, his hand draped over the edge, resting on a pizza box. A pizza box? Odd, I hadn't noticed that there before. He was out cold. So far, the hypnosis was successful. With a little help from the Mickey, I had Doris slip into his cream soda. I could use a little cream soda myself. My throat suddenly felt a little raw. Schmendrick, I want you to wake up just enough to be able to hear me. Can you hear me, Schmendrick? Schmendrick, how do you feel about reading? Schmendrick, what word tells me how you feel about reading? You can tell me. I want to help you.
Afraid. Afraid.
You're afraid to read. Why are you afraid?
Don't know. Don't know.
Let's go back in time. Were you afraid to read in the 6th grade?
Yes.
Were you afraid in the 3rd grade?
Yes.
1st grade?
Yes.
Kindergarten?
Yes.
How could he have been afraid to read before he was even taught? What was the root of this fear? Or was he just babbling in his sleep? Were you afraid to read when you were 3?
Yes.
When you were 1?
Yes.
Were you afraid to read when you were born?
Yes.
The frontiers of psychology were peeling away before my eyes. We couldn't stop now.
A little lunch?
Start without us, Doris. Were you afraid to read a month before you were born?
Yes.
3 months before?
Yes.
Were you afraid to read 4 months before you were born?
No. No. No.
No nonsense, real-life testimonials from actual users of Goyish pickles. I'm Tex Roper, I'm a cowboy. I eat Goyish pickles to increase my IQ. They don't work, but then they don't taste that great anyway. Captain Andrew McPherson here, astronaut. I eat Goyish pickles because the belch afterwards sends me shooting across the cabin. My name is Dr. Friedrich Schultz. I'm a researcher in astrophysics. I eat Goyish pickles because of their complex molecular structure. Then again, everything has complex molecular structure. But, on the other hand, not everything makes your mouth pucker up. I'm Rabbi Weiss. Goyish pickles? Mit a spam sandwich, they're good. In the garbage disposal. Goyish pickles, the choice of real people who don't mind the taste. And now we return to the thrilling conclusion of the adventures of Richard Cutts, private psychologist. Something had happened to Schmendrick 3 to 4 months before he was born to make him afraid of reading. If only I could probe deeply enough into his subconscious to discover what it was. I could tell the Mickey was starting to wear off. I had to act quickly. Schmendrick, what happened? What do you remember?
Oh, it's terrible. I'm nauseous. There's a smell, a sickening smell, and a headache day after day after day,
And what?
and someone is reading. I'm sick. I have to burp.
This was very strange. I'd never run into anything like it, even in my college class, indigestion, dyslexia, and the exceptional child. Schmendrick had told me all he could. Some bizarre event had indelibly associated reading with nausea during his last 3 prenatal months. I needed one more piece of the puzzle, if only she could remember.
Hello, Dr. Cutts.
Mr. Cutts rose. Thanks for coming to my office. This morning I had a breakthrough in Schmendrick's case, but I need your help now. Think back to 4 months before Schmendrick was born. Did anything unusual happen during those last months of pregnancy? Any illness?
No,
Any emotional distress?
no, I was quite relaxed.
Any repeated incidents? Anything that took place day after day that could have been frightening?
I can't think of anything frightening that I was doing.
I almost forgot. Was there some way that Schmendrick would have been exposed to the sound of someone reading in a frightening way?
Well, not frightening, certainly. I did start reading to him almost every day, about 3 months or so before he was born. But there was nothing frightening about it. In fact, it was quite a soothing routine for me.
For you, Rose. For you, but for Schmendrick, I wonder. Tell me about this routine. What exactly did you do? Try to remember all the details.
Well, it was usually about 3 in the afternoon. I would finish some chores and then make a nice cup of tea.
Wait, what kind of tea?
Just regular.
No strange flavors or spices?
No, not at all, just plain tea. Then I would settle down in a certain easy chair and prop a children's book on my stomach and read a sweet story in a sweet voice to little Schmendrick.
That's it?
Oh, and I'd usually munch on a couple of pickles for a snack.
A couple pickles. What kind of pickles?
Well, you know, those kind of garlicky ones that just don't taste right.
I pulled a jar out of one of the stacked cases. You mean these?
Yes, that's them, Goyish pickles. Oh, Dr. Cutts.
Mr. Cutts rose.
Do you think the pickles could have made him sick? All these years. You know, there is one other thing.
What's that?
The doctors told me that I had let the books rest too heavily on my stomach. That could have pressed too hard on his little head and given him a headache. In fact, you know that brown spot on his forehead?
Is that a birthmark?
No, it's a bookmark.
I see. Rose, there's one more thing I need to do to confirm our suspicion. But whether we can reverse the process is yet to be seen. Can you send Schmendrick in?
Thank you so much, Mr. Cutts.
Well, save your thanks till he's cured. And Rose, you can call me Richard. Schmendrick, sit down here and close your eyes. Now, how do you spell cat?
I don't know. I'm not really that big on cats.
How do you spell dog?
What kind of dog?
Weimaraner.
Guess I'm not that big on dogs either.
Okay. Feel all right?
Yeah.
Eyes closed?
Yep.
I slipped a large Goyish pickle out of its jar and got ready to thrust it under his nose. Then, how do you spell pickle?
No, that's it. The awful spell.
Schmendrick let out a huge belch and ran out of the room gagging. I heard the door to the bathroom slam shut in the waiting area. I collapsed into the chair behind my desk, sweat pouring down my face. My diagnosis was confirmed, but now what? Was I really any closer to a cure? Bring, bring. Hello, Richard Cutts, private psychologist. Have Rorschach will travel. Brought to you by Goyish pickles, the pickles that just don't taste right. And by the American Society for the Preservation of Phobias. You're never too young to be afraid of something. Press 1 if I can help you. Press 2 if it's the wrong number. If it's the landlord, you can press my... Oh, hello, Uncle Abe. How are you? Uh-huh. Pretty good. It's been a little slow around here, but I'm working on a very challenging case. Uh-huh. Well, sure, thank you. Bring them on over, although, to tell you the truth, I don't really need that many more pickles. Kosher pickles? My God, it's been ages since I had a good kosher pickle. Kosher pickle will cure just about anything. Say, wait a minute, Uncle Abe. That could be it. That just might reverse all the damage done by bad pickles. All right, get over here as fast as you can. I'll explain later. 25 minutes later, Uncle Abe arrived at the office direct from the Lincoln Dell with a fresh jar of kosher pickles. We each had one. Okay, maybe two. And then I got down to business. Schmendrick, come back in here, please. Rose, wait out there and keep your fingers crossed. Now, Schmendrick, sit down and close your eyes. I gently lifted a pickle from the jar 10 feet away from Schmendrick's nose. Tell me the instant you smell something. I moved the pickle closer to him, little by little. When it was about 3 feet away, his nose began to twitch.
I smell something.
Good or bad?
Well, not bad. It's unusual.
I moved the pickle closer and closer.
What is that?
Would you like a taste?
Yeah, wait. It's not dope like the cream soda, is it?
No, I promise. Open your mouth.
Wow, that's great. What is it?
Open your eyes.
A pickle. I thought pickles were disgusting, but this is great. It's tangy, it's crisp, it's fresh, it tastes right.
I watched as Schmendrick devoured the rest of the jar. I could almost see the pickles working their way through his system, cell by cell, erasing the negative effect of all those prenatal goyish pickles. When he finished, I sat him back in the chair. Schmendrick, how do you spell dog?
Not again.
Give it a try. Dog.
D.
Yes, that's right. What's next?
D-O.
Yes, keep going.
Well, I sort of cheated on that last one. I remembered what the word looked like. Sorry, D-O-G?
Mazel tov, you're spelling. Now, let's try reading. I gingerly handed him a book. He took it slowly, savoring the strange texture. Try to read this page.
C, see the boy, see the boy. I'm reading, Mama, I'm reading.
Rose, I think you can come in now.
See the boy, see the dog, the boy sees the dog. Jump, dog, jump.
Oh, Dr. Kutz!
Richard.
Richard, it's a miracle! He's reading. How can I ever thank you?
What's this? For use as a laxative, insert one sub.
Schmendrick, put that down. Well, Rose, how about $100 cash and $50 a month for life? Actually, I'm in real trouble now, Rose, and I don't think you can help.
What do you mean? You've cracked this case. You're a genius.
Well, yes, but unfortunately, in order to do it, I had to alienate both of my sponsors. I had to show the superiority of kosher pickles and use them to cure a phobia. Next time at this week, I'll be out of a job and off the air.
Don't give up so fast. Did you know that I'm president of DAM?
DAM?
Yes, DAM. Mothers Against Dyslexia. I'm sure I can get our organization to sponsor your show.
Forsooth, Belandris, doth not that countenance belie a certain strain of morbidity, perchance, or mayhap a melancholy of which thy tongue hath taken abandon? Lo, prodigious though, knave, advance not, lest mine petard be unsheathed. Cool. Hey, what's a petard?
Well, Rose, I appreciate your offer, but I've been doing some thinking. I'm not as young as I used to be, and frankly, this case has taken a lot out of me. I haven't felt so beat up since I cracked the Hitzroth files.
It's on the inside.
Maybe it...
That's an inside joke.
Is it?
Maybe it's time for me to retire. Clarice and I could rent a little place in Arizona, maybe adopt a couple of grandkids, go fishing, volunteer at school, work crossword puzzles, get drunk, you know, the good life.
If you retire, you will be sorely missed by the disturbed, the confused, the psychotic, the manic, the depressed, the sick, and the completely insane, and by the rest of us.
Far out.
If you ever decide to come out of retirement, Dan will always be here to sponsor you. Say, is there anything you'd like? Any going away present?
Hey, you're talking to Richard Cutts, the toughest psychologist in the business.
I just thought you might like something nice.
Hey, Dr. Cutts.
Mr. Cutts, Schmendrick?
Can I have my pipe bomb back now?
Sure, kid. Doris, give him back his pipe bomb.
There you go, Nudnik. Catch.
No.
Just kidding, you betcha.
Well, Rose, there is one thing that might be nice.
Just name it.
Gosh, I can't really say it. Marlin, you tell them. Hello, folks. Just as the mother wolf leads her cubs in howling at the moon, let's all howl a round of happy birthday to conclude this episode of the thrilling adventures of Richard Cutts, private psychologist. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Great performance. Wonderful performance.
Awesome.
Oh boy, here's a little musical interlude in honor of Dad. There you go. So, I remember flying into Phoenix with 5 copies of the script in my hand and getting to the house. And some of you may have recognized some of those, some of my folks' friends in the background there, along with Mark Atlas and Ron Atlas, who are here on the screen with us, and of course, our brother Jerry. So the final story is a new one called Invaders, and I hope you will enjoy this. And then we will have a small closing piece of music and chance to say hi. Oh. Invaders. The Secret Service agent at the White House secured entry checkpoint, looked up into the eyes of the lanky visitor. Credentials, sir. The visitor, who was already reaching into his back pocket of his loose-fitting suit pants, pulled out a leather case and flipped it open for the agent's inspection. It read, Dr. Jack Tremont, Director, NASA, and included his security clearance number. The Secret Service agent looked him up and down one more time. Thank you, Dr. Tremont. Agent Beaumont will escort you to the Oval Office. He paused. You look tired. No sleep, Jack Tremont muttered, and shoved the leather case back into his pocket. President Petrosky sat behind his desk, absent-mindedly tapping a pen on the surface in what sounded like a march rhythm. Sit down, Jack. He pointed to the empty chair among the three placed in a semicircle in front of his desk. In the chair to his left was Veronica Fontanelli, Secretary of Defense. She was a tall woman, in her 50s, attractive in a mature way, with an air of both intelligence and warmth. On his right was General David Stonewall, chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The severity of his close-cut steel gray hair and crisp military dress were offset by the unconventional goatee that he sported, reminiscent of a Civil War general. President Petrosky took a sip from his coffee cup and cleared his throat. Got your call, Jack. Took 2 hours to get these folks out of bed. Hope that's quick enough. Fill us in. Jack took a deep breath, glanced briefly around the room. They had last met 2 weeks before when NASA had first discovered what appeared to be a very large fleet of spaceships just beyond Jupiter. He straightened himself in his chair. No new intel on the fleet. Who they are, how many ships, no response to our communication attempts. He sighed. I mean, we have no tools, really. You have to understand that even though we've been looking for and even hoping for contact with other civilizations, this is the first time it's ever happened. We're just not prepared. He paused and glanced at the others. Their expressions were neutral. Well, 2 hours ago, we detected 5 of their ships in orbit above us. They're here. He held his hands out in a shrug. Now what? Secretary Fontanelli spoke. I've been thinking about this carefully, non-stop. There are 2 approaches. We can wait to see what they do. Maybe they'll try to contact us to open a discussion, let us know their motives, offer some kind of collaboration. Or maybe they'll open fire and wipe us out. She paused and took a breath. In which case, it may well be too late for us to protect ourselves. The other option is to assume that they're here to harm us and to destroy them immediately, right now, before they have a chance to defend themselves or attack back. Of course, if they are only here as friends, we will have destroyed thousands of innocents, along with our only chance to reach out to other civilizations. The president spoke. The idea of destroying innocent sentient beings who have traveled across space to reach out to us is abhorrent to me. It's an abomination. But, on the other hand, consider the Aztecs, who welcomed the Spanish white gods with open arms. If we give them the benefit of the doubt, and it turns out that their intentions are hostile, we may have doomed humanity. I'm afraid we have no choice but to strike first. God help us if we're wrong. He turned to General Stonewall. Can we actually do it, Dave? Yes, I've just reviewed the positioning of the ships. 3 nuclear warheads strategically placed will vaporize them regardless of what material they're made out of. I've got the coordinates plotted and the specific missiles selected and programmed in at the Nuclear Attack Command Center. We're ready to go on your word. Jack turned his gaze from Stonewall to the president. The president closed his eyes for a moment, rubbing them with the palms of his hands. Meet back here in 2 hours. I need to do some thinking, and a little breakfast wouldn't hurt either. Dismissed, and thank you. Jack waited for the others to rise and leave. Then he left the room and went looking for a place where he could do some quiet thinking, and maybe even rest. 2 hours later, they reconvened. Jack took his same place between the Secretary of Defense and the General. The President spoke first. Gentlemen, Madam Secretary, he began, I've reconsidered. Despite the risk, I believe it's better for us to wait for the aliens to contact us. I have every confidence that kindness and good intentions will prevail. Now, I'm holding a special closed meeting for all cabinet secretaries, top military personnel, and White House staff at 5 p.m. Please be there. Dismissed. He turned his attention to various papers on his desk. Jack shot a quick glance at each of the others. The general was scowling. The secretary's mouth hung open. As they exited the Oval Office, he tapped both on their shoulders and whispered to them, "Come with me, it's urgent." The three exited the White House and walked in the direction of the Rose Garden. Once they were out of earshot of any Secret Service agents or White House staff, Jack spoke in quiet tones. "What are you thinking?" The general spoke first. "It's bizarre. He didn't even discuss it with us. He's unilaterally condemning the whole world." He shook his head. Secretary Fontanelli spoke. "Well, I'm as interested in reaching out in peace as anyone. I've dedicated my life to it. But this is insane. It's clear that we can't take the risk. What's gotten into him?" Jack responded, "I think I know. This is complicated. Hang in there with me." He glanced at the others. They nodded. "I just got a message from one of my aides. Yesterday, a skeleton was found in the Potomac. Not a body, a skeleton. Clean bones without a scrap of tissue, like you'd find in a biology lab. Perfect for a mob hit. No DNA to trace. No identifying information, except that whoever did it missed one thing. The victim had a hip replacement, and the titanium hip had a serial number. Through that, the victim was identified as Oscar LaRue. Now get this, Oscar LaRue was, or is, on the White House kitchen staff." The other two raised their eyebrows in unison. "And Oscar was scheduled to deliver breakfast to the president this morning." General Stonewall spoke. "Well, who delivered it instead?" "Oscar delivered it," Jack said. "Wait a minute," Secretary Fontanelli broke in. You said his skeleton was found yesterday." "Exactly," Jack said. "My theory is that Oscar was one of the few people who could be alone with the president. And someone replaced Oscar with a new Oscar." Okay, just stick with me. I know this may sound crazy, but I believe that the aliens may be capable of shapeshifting, and that they have somehow infiltrated the White House, first through Oscar, and then when Oscar was alone with the president, through the president himself. I don't believe that the person we just met is actually President Petrosky. It's an alien shapeshifter and is turning our strategies to its own ends. General Stonewall let out a frustrated laugh. "That's nuts, Tremont. I've known Petrosky for years. He looked like himself. He spoke like himself. He acted like himself. He even drummed his pen on the table like he usually does." The secretary added, "I didn't detect any difference either. It was his own personality. Wouldn't an alien slip up somewhere?" Jack answered, "An absolute shapeshifter could take over all of those aspects, but lay its own will on top of it, sort of like using the personality like a puppet. There would be absolutely no way to tell. I'm betting his blood is red, his DNA is the same, his medical conditions all the same. It's all just all being controlled by someone or something else." General Stonewall continued, "You're basing all this craziness on the idea that the skeleton was Oscar, what's his name? Maybe the serial number on that titanium hip was wrong, or duplicated somewhere else. Besides, so what if your theory is true? It doesn't give us any options. What we need is a plan to override the president. It's not going to be easy, but I think it can be done. To activate the nuclear missiles, we need access to the Nuclear Attack Command Center. There are only 3 of us that can access the retinal scan. The president and the 2 of us, the general pointed to Secretary Fontanelli. Once inside, it requires 3 people to turn the 3 interlock keys. The soldiers that guard the keys will give their lives before letting anyone at the controls. We'd have to convince them that overriding the president was legitimate, maybe sanctioned by Congress and the Supreme Court, though we may not have time for that. Fontanelli said, that sounds like a possibility. So, in fact, it doesn't matter if the president has become an alien or just lost perspective. We just have to go around him. Except for one thing, Jack said. Do not go to the president's special meeting this afternoon. It's a perfect opportunity for the aliens to take over virtually everyone in the chain of command. The secretary and the general looked at each other. Jack continued, I've got a lot of preparations to make. Give me until 6 and meet me in my office at NASA. It's secure there. We can make plans then, and I'll have key players lined up. General Stonewall shook Jack's hand. I'm glad we're on the same page with this. It's not easy to work behind the president's back. We need to stick together. It was just a few minutes after 6 when General Stonewall and Secretary Fontanelli entered Jack's office at NASA headquarters. They remained standing. The general spoke. Jack, we've been talking more with the president, and I have to say there's merit to his plan. We're going to wait it out and see what the aliens do. I hope you'll go along with that too. Jack tensed. You went to the meeting, didn't you? He stared into their eyes, looking for some sign of something alien. I was afraid of that. He nodded, and 2 figures stepped out of the shadows in the corners of the room and jabbed syringes into the necks of the general and the secretary. That should keep them out for at least 24 hours. Andy, you get the eyes and meet us down in the Jeep. Greta, let's grab the equipment. Andy Marshall and Greta Pacheco were friends and colleagues of Jack's, who he had felt would understand the urgency of the situation. He trusted them. And they had gladly volunteered to save humanity. Andy extracted the eyes from the 2 unconscious people and placed the eyeballs in a container with saline solution. He joined the others in the parking lot. When they arrived at the compound containing the Nuclear Attack Command Center, the first hurdle was getting through the main gate. Jack's security clearance allowed him in. He introduced the others as interstellar space specialists who had not had time to get clearance because of the emergency. The guard wavered, but eventually let them in. They then needed to get into the activation room itself. The guard at the activation room door refused to allow an exception for uncleared personnel, despite the emergency. Jack thanked him for his diligence and said he'd go in alone. The guard keyed the 15-digit code to open the door, along with his thumbprint, and swung open the heavy steel security door. Jack stepped through as Greta stabbed the guard with a syringe. He gasped and slumped to the ground. The 3 quickly pulled gas masks out of their bags and donned them. Jack tossed the knockout gas grenade into the activation room. The 3 soldiers at the activation key stations, as well as the 4th soldier standing on guard, stood up and reached for their guns, but the gas overcame them, and they crumpled to the floor. Jack located the retinal scanner and pressed one of the eyeballs against it. The red light turned green. General Stonewall had told him that the correct missiles and coordinates had already been set. All that was left to do was to simultaneously turn the keys. They each took up a station in front of the keys. Jack spoke. On my mark. Greta hesitated. Jack, are you sure? Unfortunately, yes. They've given us no choice. For humanity. 1, 2, 3. They turned the keys. Somewhere in the distance, 3 missiles left their silos, streaking toward the heavens. Minutes later, a massive nuclear blast vaporized the 5 alien ships. Jack sighed. You two, get out of here, fast. We've got maybe 15 minutes before the feds swarm this place. They don't know who you are. You're safe. Andy clapped Jack on the shoulder. Greta placed a quick kiss on his sweaty cheek. Then they left. If his guess was correct, the bodies taken over by the aliens had been controlled by the ships in orbit. With them gone, the bodies would probably collapse lifeless, maybe melt into goo or something. The fleet of alien ships out by Jupiter would surely know what happened to their scout ships. They would move on to an easier target, if indeed they had been hostile. Good riddance, Jack thought. Good riddance. After all, his people had gotten to Earth first. They didn't need competition. Soon soldiers would come to haul away Jack Tremont, but they wouldn't find him. Jack reached out with his mind and found a member of the command center custodial staff, a woman named Olivia Purcell. Slowly he withdrew from the body of Jack Tremont, which collapsed on the floor, and allowed him to flow into Olivia's body. He stretched into the new form and tasted her thoughts and memories, hopes and fears, and merged them with his own. Down the hall, angry boots pounded the floor. Violent shouts echoed. He dipped his mop into the bucket of hot water, began swabbing the floor, and smiled. He was going to enjoy cleaning up. And now, our final musical interlude, and then we'll stick around to say hi.
Leave him alone, Miss Elsa. You bad luck to him.
Play it once, Sam. For all time's sake.
I don't know what you mean, Miss Elsa.
Play it, Sam. Play as time goes by.
Oh, I can't remember it, Miss Elsa. I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Sing it, Sam.
You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. And when two lovers woo, they still say I love you. On that you can rely. No matter what the future brings as time goes by.
Sam, I thought I told you never to play.